Also today, the conviction of Jussie Smollett has now been overturned by the Illinois Supreme Court. The former Empire actor was convicted in 2021 of disorderly conduct for lying to police about being attacked in the Loop. He was sentenced to 150 days in prison but appealed. The Supreme Court ruled that a special prosecutor should not have been allowed to retry that case after the charges against him were previously dropped in Cook County. Now, the court maintains that Smollett's rights were violated. It did not weigh in on Smollett's guilt in the alleged attack. We are now joined by attorney Karen Conti to talk about this decision. And Karen, this is the case that just won't give up. Let's start with what all this means. Just to reiterate, it does not mean he is innocent, but what is the court saying exactly?
The court is saying that there was a non-prosecution agreement reached between the state's attorney and Smollett, and that required him to do community service to pay $10,000. He did his part of the bargain, paid the money, did the community service, the charges were dropped, and then they were brought again. And so what the court said is this is not double jeopardy, but it really is like a breach of contract, and it really is not good for the public trust, because you have to trust the prosecutor if he or she is going to make a deal with you. And if you meet your part of the bargain to your detriment, then the deal should be upheld. And it was improper to have another prosecutor come in and prosecute him.
Okay, so what are the next steps? For the most part, is this case now over?
This is probably over, but Dan Webb, who is the special prosecutor, could make the decision to appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. And that would have to be accepted by the Supreme Court and heard. But, it just seems to me that we are all weary of the Jussie Smollett case. And even though you may not like this outcome, it's probably the right decision in that we have to uphold plea bargains. Our system is 98% of all cases are settled with plea bargains in the federal court, 95% in the state court. And if we didn't uphold them, our whole system would fall. So bad for maybe what you think about it, this case, but good for the system.
Yeah, it's been a while. And, as we go back and remember, this happened on a cold winter's night. There were a lot of police involved, hours of police investigation, so much money spent by the city to try to figure out what was going on before they finally decided that he had faked this whole case. So what's the biggest takeaway from this? Smollett may not have to deal with this again, but the biggest impact maybe not only on his career, but on the city of Chicago.
Well, it's true. And, there's a civil suit against him for all of the damages he caused. And that is not affected by this opinion. The police can still go after him for the $120,000 or so that it cost the city. Because, again, this does not impact on whether he was guilty or innocent. It has to do with the whole procedure that was used. But going forward, like I said, this is good because defendants need certainty, the prosecutors need certainty, and hopefully this will be the end of the Jussie Smollett saga in Chicago.
All right, Karen Conti, always appreciate your expertise. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks,
and we